Hi, my name is Samson, and I make videos about Canadian politics here on my channel. And today I wanted to talk about this video of Pierre Poilievre, where he at one point says that he wants to deport people who are temporary residents of Canada who participate in woke anti-Semitism, aka pro-Palestinian protests.
October 7th was the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. But in the period that had followed, Israel has fought back. The regimes and the terrorist groups that sought to annihilate Israel have themselves been annihilated. And Israel has friends, as do the Jewish people. Friends that will stand through thick and thin, through fire and water, not equivocating, not speaking out of both sides of our mouth. We must stand with the Jewish people and the state of Israel in their effort to preserve their existence and to live a peaceful, democratic life. And that should not be taken for granted. We see on our own streets anti-Semitism, guided by obscene, woke ideologies that have led to an explosion in hate crimes. Hate crimes were up over 100% in Canada before October 7th. Now they're up 251%, with Jews being the principal victims of those crimes. We must not just condemn these things, we must take action against them. We must deport from our country any temporary resident that is here on a permit or a visa that is carrying out violence or hate crimes on our soil.
Not the one person clapping in the audience. Oh my god, ew. So he refers to pro-Palestinian protesters as woke anti-Semitic people all of the time. This isn't something new for Pierre Poilievre. This is a post that I posted from his Instagram on my Twitter, and it says, Pierre Poilievre told the people of Winnipeg Review in an exclusive telephone interview December 18, 2024. I believe this happened when all-girls Jewish school, something that is completely terrible. I agree, it's completely terrible. However, Pierre Poilievre blames these anti-Semitic acts solely on the pro-Palestinian protesters, that he will not tolerate and will defund all those with a woke anti-Semitic agenda, including at universities who receive federal funding. So as you can see, if he's talking about universities, he's obviously talking about the people who were doing sit-ins and had their own little groups in Canadian colleges and universities, just like they did in America, where they were protesting against schools sending money over to Israel and funding the genocide, as well as all federally funded museums. Museums! That's so problematic. He reiterated that he plans to defund all those who impose a radical, terrifying, toxic ideology. And this will apply to everything that the federal government controls. Oh, terrifying. He stated, I will fire government officials throughout my administration who are imposing a toxic woke ideology. Pierre Poilievre wrote in his captions, I will defund wokeism and fight anti-Semitism, equating the two together because apparently wokeism equals anti-Semitism, and stand with our friends in Israel against terror, which is a good example of how Pierre Poilievre constantly conflates the two. He conflates a lot of the anti-Semitism that happens in Canada with the pro-Palestinian protesters. In the tweet, which featured the video that I showed before, it says, as Canadians, we must be allies and friends to the Jewish people. When we say never again, we mean it. Now, this is problematic for many different reasons. It is anti-Semitic to conflate all of Judaism with Zionism. This is because it creates a false narrative that all Jewish people are Zionists, which isn't true. Zionism wasn't even created by Jewish people. It was created long before Jewish people even stepped foot in the land that is now called Israel, where Pierre Poilievre and Jordan Peterson are talking, and he describes wokeism as the true root to racism in Canada. All right, I found the clip.
And by the way, put aside race, this obsession with race that wokeism has reinserted.
Well, invented even.
Invented in many ways.
When I moved to Toronto, it was as race blind as any country, as any city could be.
Right.
Right. And that's flipped. And it's flipped because of that obsessive concern with race. Right. That was something we 100% did not need in Canada.
No.
Right. We basically, what would you say, ordered and invented racism in Canada. Right.
Well,
as a consequence of policy.
Wokeism.
I'm sorry, Jordan, how did we create it and import it at the same time? I would love to know this. This is the verbal diarrhea that comes out of both of these men's mouths. I just can't.
It seeks to divide people into these different groups and subgroups, and we see the results in a 250% increase in hate crimes. But we're going to get back to the basic principle that people are...
Which is something, again, that he brought up in that video that I showed earlier, where he was saying that he wants to deport temporary citizens to Canada who participate in woke anti-Semitism.
Judged based on their individual character and humanity rather than by their group identity. And that is actually, ironically, the most unifying thing we can do to bring our country back together. And as Lincoln put it, to bind up the nation's wounds.
And as Lincoln put it, bind up the nation's wounds. Sir, you are Canadian. Why aren't you bringing up Sir Johnny MacDonald? You've been on a huge Sir Johnny MacDonald kick lately. Why'd you gotta bring up Lincoln? Oh, is it because you're on the Daily Wire and you know that American conservatives are watching this and you want more Americans to endorse you? I feel like that's probably it. Pierre Poilievre also repeated the same nonsense bullshit during the 2024 Calgary Stampede, where he tried to look super manly in a white t-shirt. So we're gonna watch this video, and he vows to remove it from Canadian culture. Ew.
Trudeau and the NDP took office and instituted a weird, woke ideology that not only seeks to take our money, punish our work, tax our food, and undermine our entrepreneurs, but also destroys our education, dishonors our history, and divides our people. But the good news is life was not like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone.
Probably just one of the most obnoxious politicians in Canada currently, besides Danielle Smith, who is also extremely terrible herself. All right, so I think that's where I'm going to call it for this video. This is just like a short little video I wanted to make in response to what Pierre Poilievre posted literally yesterday during Holocaust remembrance. And I personally think that it is absolutely diabolical that he would literally say something like this during a Holocaust remembrance ceremony. Like Pierre Poilievre says, lest we forget, the Holocaust literally started with mass deportations. And that is something that a lot of people are talking about now when it comes to what is happening in the United States of America currently. And I'm just very disappointed in the fact that this man, who has the potentiality to become the next Prime Minister of Canada, is verbatim saying, like Donald Trump, that he wants to deport people. Specifically, a very vulnerable sector of our population, which is absolutely vile in my opinion. Like, subscribe, do all those things, and I'll see you in the next one.